Hi, it's Morgan from Young People Cornwall again. It will be video 2 for cognitive restructuring. And in this video we're going to start looking at thinking traps or unhelpful thinking habits. I'm going to do it over 2 videos though, because there's 12 unhelpful thinking habits that we tend to talk about, so I don't think I can get them all in one video and it be like a manageable size. So I'll do 6 in this video and I'll do 6 in the next video. Hopefully make it a bit easier for you to digest. So what is an unhelpful thinking habit? Well, an unhelpful thinking habit, or a thinking trap, or if you want the fancy name, it's a cognitive distortion, is a way of thinking about a situation that may not be completely accurate. And typically, if we struggle with anxiety, it can often be related to the fact that we're not thinking about a situation entirely accurately. So, for example, you might say, that person looked at me funny, so they don't like me. Well, that might be like a mind-reading thinking trap. So, how do you know they don't like you? Have they come out and said? Or you might be passing a judgment, and again, judgments can be a thinking trap. So, we're going to look at these, and the purpose for this is, if you can identify that your thoughts are stuck in a certain thinking trap, then there's strategies to go about addressing them. And cognitive restructuring is one of them. So the first thinking trap that I'm going to talk about, of the 6 that we'll cover in this session, is a mental filter. So what is a mental filter? Well, a mental filter is filtering out like the positives. Okay, so you might be in a situation, or you might get like some marks back for your homework, and some of it might say some really good things, and some of it might say some bad things or areas that you can improve on. Well, if you have got this mental filter in, you filter out all the good things, you didn't do anything good, and you just focus on the bad. And you know, sometimes that's not entirely accurate. You know, you might have a really small area for improvement, but a whole wealth of positives and praise to take of that. So you can see there, if you're stuck in this mental filter, how you can just filter on and focus on the negatives rather than taking everything into account. The next thinking trap is prediction. So that is predicting the future. Can you predict what is going to happen? So somebody who's struggling with anxiety might say, well, I'm not going to do this because I won't be any good at it. Or I'm not going to do this because it'll be bad. Well, we would say, well, okay, is that entirely accurate? Is it really real? Or are you predicting? You're thinking that you can decide the outcome before it happens. So the next one is mind reading. Now, mind reading, exactly what it says on the tin. Believing that you know what somebody else is thinking. And that can be really common for people who struggle with things like social anxiety. You know, like the example I used a minute ago, well, they looked at me funny, so they don't like me. Well, how do you know? Is that accurate? Can you read people's minds? Or is it something else is going on? Are you maybe assuming that you know what others are thinking? Maybe they're your own thoughts. You don't know necessarily unless somebody says it to you. The next one, thinking trap number 4, is judgments. So making a judgment about a situation rather than thinking about it for exactly how it was. You know, so it might be that, oh, I did this and it was really bad for whatever reason, rather than saying, oh, well, I did this and this is what happened. Okay, so you're casting a judgment on it. The next one, and I think this is quite a powerful one, is emotional reasoning. So just because you feel bad doesn't mean it necessarily is bad. Just because you are anxious or worried about a situation doesn't always mean that there is a reason to be worried. Okay? But we can get caught up in like the butterflies in our tummies that we feel, and the raised heart rate, sweaty palms, shaking legs. And because we're feeling like that, we assume that there must be something bad is going to happen. But is that always the case? And the last one for today's video is mountains and molehills. Now you might have heard this expression before about making a mountain out of a molehill. And that is potentially over-exaggerating something. So it might be that something worried you for whatever reason, or you were concerned, but perhaps it didn't warrant the response that it got. Or perhaps you, like the mental filter, perhaps you are over-exaggerating the bad stuff. Maybe there wasn't as much bad stuff as you first thought, if you stepped back and actually looked at it afterwards. Okay? So hopefully those 6 make sense. So we've got mental filter, prediction, mind reading, judgments, emotional reasoning, and mountains and molehills. That's the 6 thinking traps for this video, and I'm going to do another one shortly of the next 6. Alright, thank you. Oh, can't turn it off.